welcome to Born for the Trades, a home service podcast. My name is Shreya, your host for today, and here I am with Allan Langer of the 7 Secrets, a sales academy, and I'm really excited to nerd out with you about that because I'm known for a big background in sales and sales psychology, so I know we're going to have a really good conversation. Before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to Rilla. We're at their convention right this second.
We are.
And they're also a sponsor for our podcast, and they allow us to, share more information with you guys and, stay open for the listeners sort of thing. Another thank you to Grow Reviews for their wonderful sponsorship and support for our podcast. So let's just get down to it. You were telling me before we started here, there's some news when it comes to Rilla, because just a background, Rilla is an AI sales coaching software that records the sales calls and gives you the stats of how your players are doing in the field, what they're saying. But the difference is not necessarily how they're saying it. It didn't necessarily give notes on tonality.
Correct.
In the past. Of course, it can't do body language. It's not recording software. So give us a background on what you specialize in with the 7 Secrets and how it ties in with the news from Rilla for us.
So thanks for having me on first. So I basically, I specialize, I've been in sales for over 25 years. Most of it was in home. It was in over 10,000 homes in my career. And when I started studying the psychology of sales and how people think and what makes them buy, that's when my sales started to go up.
Yeah.
Then when I started studying body language, my sales really started to go up.
Right.
And I think body language is really the last frontier of sales training because nobody trains it.
Yeah.
Sales reps don't pay attention to it. They think they do, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And now Rilla comes along and is recording conversations. So they asked me to speak at the conference about body language. And that prompted a conversation with them and their engineers about tonality. Like, can you actually analyze tone?
Mm-hmm.
And they said they couldn't, but they were intrigued to try.
Right.
So quite a few Zoom calls later and some things, they actually created a measuring tool called EVR, Emotional Variability Response, I think it stands for. A lot of geeky stuff in there, but
frequencies,
pitch, speed,
right?
Pausing,
if it's going up and down,
emotion,
or if it's staying the same,
right? Monotone,
right?
A lot of different things, and I know it's going to get a lot better because this is it in its infancy stages, but they came up with this EVR measuring stick and found out that the higher ratings of the EVR, two statistics came out. So closing percentage wasn't really affected, but the higher the number, the volume, the size of the job went up 50%.
Really?
50%.
And then can you explain EVR, like what that differentiator is in terms of communication?
They were trying to figure out the rep's emotional response rate to variances in the prospect's tone, the homeowner's tone, and then what their tone did to either mirror it or change or whatever. So I'm not 100% sure how they did it in the background, but they found that, okay, at a very baseline level, say the score is 100.
Right.
So the reps that scored 120 or higher, their jobs were 50% larger in size.
It's kind of like if I'm matching your energy, like if you're, give me an example, homeowner to salesperson, on what that would sound like.
Well, let's say, for example, after my tone, I'll give you a great example. A young rep came up to me and said, how do I, he goes, my manager always tells me I'm too monotone in the house.
Yeah. And
I could tell simply from his personality that he's just a monotone figure, his personality. So he just kind of stays level. Mm-hmm. But if no excitement is generated in your voice about your product and you're just monotone about it, you're not going to be a very good salesperson.
Because you have to transfer that feeling to the client.
Yeah, you have to have proper inflections in the right spot. You can't come across as condescending. You can't come across as judgmental, skeptical, all of those types of tones. If you come across that way, your chances of selling go down dramatically. But if you come across as empathetic and curious, which is what they're next, I think they're going to try to figure out how to measure, is empathy and curiosity in tone. If you do those two things, you will sell a lot, because people love when someone when they feel someone is empathetic to them
Yeah.
and curious to them rather than judging them.
And you're right. I mean, tone, they say it's 80% of communication. Is that right?
So it's called the 93% rule.
Okay.
So 7% of communication, of meaning, is said through your words.
7.
It's only 7%.
Wow.
38 is through tone.
Yeah.
And 55% is your body language. So 93% of our communication is nonverbal.
Wow.
It's pretty wild.
That's amazing. Especially because like Rilla's already been effective with the 7% in increasing company sales. So imagine with the tonality and being able to measure the tonality.
It's a game changer.
It's a complete game changer. And I don't think there's any technology that really exists like that that's out there.
I guarantee you, I was joking with one of the Rilla guys today. I'm like, probably within 5 to 10 years, people are going to walk into a house with a little video camera, record the entire conversation, and AI will be able to analyze the body language of the customer in front of you.
I believe it.
Including the conversation. That's coming.
I love that. A lot of people hate that. Like when you say that, it scares them, but I absolutely love that.
I mean, there's no turning back. So, but I've been teaching body language for years, and it's one of my more popular courses in my workshops. And it's because reps just don't pay attention.
No.
They will blab on and on and on, and you could give them, let's say I'm selling windows, and I'm talking about the energy efficiency of the glass, the low E coatings, the weather stripping, and you like go like that.
Yeah.
Like half a second.
It's already bad communication, but it's like, because it's boring.
Yeah, but that little micro expression of I'm not interested.
Right.
The rep will absorb it. Or
if they're like, standing up outside, not letting you in, and holding their arms up like this. That's like a really common one with the homeowners.
Right. But so many sales are lost. So many sales are lost because reps don't pick up on it and don't do anything about it. And then the sales lost within the first 20 minutes and they have no idea.
I want to give a special shout out to Rilla, the sales coaching AI software that holds the technicians accountable and gives them the support and guidance they need to maximize all the opportunities you spend your hard-earned money on.
I want to give special shout out to Grow Reviews, one of our sponsors, America's first platform to capture instant text and video reviews. If a picture is 1,000 words, a video is worth 1,000,000. Book a demo with Grow Reviews by visiting website www.growreviews.com, and you can get in touch with their sales reps to book a demo.
If this is somebody's first time really getting into, like on this episode, into tonality, body language, what are a couple of actionable steps that they can take that are simple that may make a difference on their sales call?
I'll give you the simplest one, and I did this on the Rilla podcast, but I'll do it for yours. The simplest one to do is there are 2 types of smiles. There's a polite smile, and then there's a real smile.
Okay.
The polite smile is what everyone does when you first meet them at the door, or you first meet them at a podcast. You say hello, and you have a polite smile.
Yeah.
A polite smile, there's no crinkles in the eyes, there's no crow's feet, and the mouth goes back instead of up. It's a portrait smile, like a say cheese yearbook smile. When the thing you want to watch for is to take that smile and get it to a real smile. The real smile is when the eyes start to squint.
Yeah.
You get the crow's feet and the mouth go back up to the ears.
And you don't have to show your teeth either, right?
No, you do not.
Right. Like it's like this versus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I started studying body language, that was the first thing I looked for. When I walked into a house, I always got the polite smile.
Yeah.
Unless they were a sociopath, I got a polite smile.
Yeah.
And then if 10-15 minutes later, that smile turned to a real smile, that means I was building rapport. That means the appointment was going well. Because quite often I would be on a ride along and I would see that the customer, their polite smile never changed.
Right.
They were being polite, but they never had a real smile, which means they never connected with the rep.
Yeah.
So that's something really easy to do.
Wow, that's really profound because it gives you feedback because clients can be really quiet. I mean, when you do sales training with a tech, usually they just don't know where the client was at whatsoever because they weren't communicating or telling the truth out loud. But you have to tell the truth with your subconscious body movements, right?
You don't know you're doing it. You're doing it 100% of the time. And if you know what to look for, and like Chris Voss said, label it. I teach labeling where if I see you do that, I pause the conversation and I say, let me pause here for a minute.
Right.
You don't really care about the energy efficiency of the glass, do you? And you go, no. all I want to know about is the wood on the inside.
I love labeling.
Yeah,
it's so
and now
fun.
you just told me how to sell you, and
Yeah.
I got you back in the conversation.
Exactly. Yeah, just saying it out loud, right? Which is another issue. So there's the body language, right, with the smile. Is there anything in terms of tonality that's simple that people can maybe apply today on their sales calls?
So you want your tone to, again, be curious and empathetic. So you want the customer to know that you're not there to sell them, you're there to help them. And that you need an empathetic tone with that.
Can you give an example of like maybe the same question or sentence with two different tones, the right one and the wrong one?
Sure. So let me think. So let's say I walk in, I'm a roofing salesman, and typical roofing salesman, you say here, I'll give you a story. Ready? You're a roofing salesman, you walk in, and I say, hi, my roof is leaking in my garage. Typical roofing salesman, okay, great. Let me show you my shingles.
Right.
And immediately you start selling. Your tone is basically selfish.
Right.
I'm selling right away. I didn't even ask you a question.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the good salesperson now. Hi, yes, my roof is leaking in my garage. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Empathetic tone.
Yeah.
Well, it's leaking. It's been leaking for 3 years. Really?
Yeah.
Describe for me how that's been.
Right.
Well, to be honest with you, it's been leaking in my wife's Christmas decorations for 3 years.
Brilliant.
Whoa.
Yeah.
How has Christmas been for you the last 3 years? All of a sudden, who's that customer going to want to do business with? The first guy or that guy?
Second guy, yeah.
And I just asked 3 questions with empathetic and curious tones.
You got the real problem, which is the
I got the real problem,
yeah.
yes. It was just decorations and not the leak. So it all comes down to really good questioning,
That's brilliant.
open-ended questioning. And if you do it the right way, you can't ask enough open-ended questions.
Yeah.
Most sales reps don't, and that's why people don't like to meet with salespeople.
That's true. And this is especially perfect because a lot of companies have like these repeatable sales processes that are like communication based. Like, you know, I work with Joe Crisera, right? And we teach like magic moments and the law of esteem and all these things that are really effective and important. But imagine like if somebody already has a simple sales process, which most companies do, they're only communication processes.
Right.
So really like what you do would apply to anybody, no matter what process they have. And it wouldn't
100%.
necessarily, would it change their process of communication, or would it just enhance whatever they're doing?
I should have you sell my services for me. That's exactly what I tell
Yeah.
You know, you run into some of these business owners like, I already have a sales process. I don't need training. And I'm like, I'm not here to give you a new sales process. My stuff enhances what you already have or fixes what doesn't really work well.
Which is the biggest pain. It's like just thinking of like, oh, well, we have to change this again. We already put so much work and money into this. So this enhances the process, which is brilliant. So like if somebody wanted to, you know, have a chat with you and learn more about what you do and how you train teams, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Just go to my website. It's actually brand new, about a week old. I redid the whole thing, and it's the 7secretssalesacademy.com. The number 7, 7secretssalesacademy.com.
Great.
That's
awesome. And we're going to link it below the video too.
Awesome. So
that everybody can click on it and, you know, discover how to enhance your sales systems with, what was it, 93% of what matters?
93% of communication is nonverbal.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
93%.
I'll have to hop on a call with you then.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming out, Allan, and taking the time. And thanks to the listeners once again for giving us all your support. And we'll catch you on the flip side.